The Yorkshire dales stretched endlessly. Under the grey English sky, there, rolling green hills dotted with stone, walls that had stood for centuries. Thornfield Farm sat nestled in this ancient landscape, but today it felt more like a battlefield than a peaceful countryside retreat. William Whitmore gripped the wooden fence as he stared at Thunder, the massive Angus bull that had become his greatest nightmare. For 3 months since his longtime farm hand Jack Morrison had disappeared without explanation, no one had been able to approach Thunder without risking serious injury. The 1,000-pound bull had attacked 2 veterinarians, charged at 3 different farm hands, and had even tried to break through reinforced steel gates. "He's getting worse by the day," William muttered to his housekeeper, Mrs. Eleanor Hartwell, a stern but kind woman in her 60s who had been caring for Thornfield Farm since William's wife, Margaret, had passed away from pneumonia 2 winters ago. Mrs. Hartwell adjusted her apron and looked toward the bullpen with concern. "That animal's not right in the head, Mr. William. Perhaps it's time to consider selling him before someone gets seriously hurt." William shook his head firmly. "Thunder's the finest breeding bull in North Yorkshire. His bloodline is worth a fortune. There has to be another way." It was on this very morning, when hope seemed as distant as the Scottish border, that everything changed. A social worker's car pulled up the gravel drive, and out stepped a thin, pale child who looked no older than 7. His name was Oliver, and he carried nothing but a small rucksack, and the kind of sadness that seemed too heavy for such small shoulders to bear. The social worker, Sarah Collins, explained the tragic situation to William. Oliver's parents had died in a car accident near Manchester, and he was the son of William's late wife's distant cousin. With no other relatives willing to take him in, the boy desperately needed a home. "I don't know anything about raising children," William protested, running his hand through his graying hair. "This is a working farm, not a place for a child." Mrs. Hartwell stepped forward, her maternal instincts overriding her usual reserve. "Nonsense, Mr. William. This house has seen children before. The boy needs family, and family is family, no matter how distant the connection." Oliver stood silently throughout the conversation, his large brown eyes taking in everything around him. He was small for his age, with unruly brown hair and clothes that were clearly hand-me-downs. He didn't speak unless spoken to, and even then only nodded or shook his head. After completing the paperwork, the social worker departed, leaving William staring at the child who had suddenly become his responsibility. "Well then," he said awkwardly, "I suppose you'll be staying in the spare room upstairs." Mrs. Hartwell immediately took charge, bustling Oliver into the farmhouse kitchen for a proper meal. The kitchen was quintessentially English, with its AA cooker, wooden beams, and shelves lined with preserves and traditional ceramics. Oliver ate his shepherd's pie in silence, occasionally glancing out the window toward the fields where Thunder could be seen, pacing restlessly in his enclosure. The next morning, while William was in the village of Grassington, discussing Thunder's dangerous behavior with other farmers at the Devonshire Arms pub, Oliver quietly slipped out of the farmhouse. Mrs. Hartwell was hanging laundry on the line behind the house, humming an old Yorkshire ballad, and didn't notice the boy's disappearance. Oliver wandered through the farm, past the stone barn where sheep huddled together, past the chicken coop where hens pecked at their feed, until he found himself standing before Thunder's enclosure. The massive bull stood in the center of the paddock, his black coat gleaming in the pale morning sun. For months, Thunder had charged at anyone who approaches his fence. Veterinarians had recommended sedation just to get near him. Farm hands refused to enter his paddock, but when Oliver approached the wooden rails, something extraordinary happened. Thunder raised his massive head and looked directly at the boy. Instead of the usual snorting and pawing that preceded his attacks, the bull simply stared. His nostrils flared as he caught the child's scent, but there was no aggression in his posture. Oliver, guided by an instinct he couldn't explain, slowly extended his small hand toward the fence. "Hello," he whispered in his soft voice. "You look sad." Thunder approached the fence, cautiously, each step deliberate and measured. When he reached the wooden rails, he lowered his enormous head until his muzzle was close to Oliver's outstretched hand. Mrs. Hartwell, having finished the laundry, noticed Oliver's absence and began searching for him. When she spotted him at Thunder's enclosure, her heart nearly stopped. Was about to cry out when she saw something that defied all logic. Thunder was allowing Oliver to touch his nose through the fence rails. The bull that had terrorized grown men was standing perfectly still, accepting the gentle touch of a 7-year-old boy. If you're already captivated by this incredible story of an unlikely friendship, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. You won't believe what happens next as this extraordinary bond deepens in ways that will change everyone's life forever. Do you think some people are born with a special gift to connect with animals? Or is there something more to Oliver's mysterious ability? Mrs. Hartwell quietly made her way back to the farmhouse and called William at the pub with trembling hands. "Mr. William, you need to come home immediately," she said, her voice shaking with excitement and fear. "What's wrong? Is the boy hurt?" "No, but you won't believe what I'm seeing. The boy is with Thunder and the bull is, well, he's behaving like a gentle lamb." William raced back from Grassington, his Land Rover kicking up dust clouds as it sped along the narrow country lanes, lined with dry stone walls. His mind raced with possibilities, none of which seemed remotely plausible. Thunder, the bull that had sent 2 veterinarians to hospital, was apparently calm around a 7-year-old orphan. When William arrived at Thornfield Farm, he found Mrs. Hartwell standing at a safe distance from Thunder's enclosure, watching in amazement as Oliver sat on the wooden fence rail, talking softly to the massive bull who stood directly beneath him. "How long has he been there?" William asked, barely above a whisper. "Nearly an hour," Mrs. Hartwell replied. "I've never seen anything like it in all my years. That bull is listening to every word the boy says." Dr. James Petton, the local veterinarian from Skipton, arrived shortly after William called him. Dr. Petton was a practical Yorkshire man who had dealt with livestock for over 30 years. But what he witnessed that morning challenged everything he thought he knew about animal behavior. "This is medically impossible," Dr. Petton muttered, adjusting his glasses as he observed Thunder's completely relaxed posture. "That animal has attacked everything that's moved. near him for months. Last week he nearly gored young Tom Bradley from the neighboring farm. Oliver seemed oblivious to the adults watching him. He continued speaking to Thunder in hushed tones, telling the bull about his dreams, about missing his parents, and about feeling scared in this new place. "I know you miss Jack too," Oliver said, somehow knowing about the departed farman. "Mrs. Hartwell told me he used to take care of you, but maybe we can be friends now." Thunder responded with low, rumbling sounds that almost seemed like conversation. The bull's ears were forward, attentive, and his massive head bobbed occasionally as if he were nodding in understanding. "Oliver," William called gently, not wanting to startle either the boy or the bull. "Come away from there, lad." Slowly, Oliver turned and smiled at William, the first genuine smile anyone had seen from him since his arrival. "He's not mean, Mr. William. He's just lonely like me." With careful movements, Oliver climbed down from the fence. Thunder watched him go, but made no aggressive moves, simply returning to his peaceful grazing, as if the last hour of calm interaction was perfectly normal. Dr. Peton examined Thunder from outside the fence, amazed at the bull's relaxed demeanor. His breathing is normal, his posture is relaxed, and he's showing none of the stress signals I've documented over the past months. It's as if he's a completely different animal. That evening, over a traditional Yorkshire dinner of roast beef and Yorkshire pudding, the adults discussed what they had witnessed. "The boy has a gift," Mrs. Hartwell declared, serving Oliver another helping. "My grandmother always said, some people are born with the ability to speak to animals. She used to tell stories of a man in Wensleydale who could calm the wildest horses with just a touch." William remained skeptical. There has to be a logical explanation. Perhaps Thunder was simply tired or unwell. "Mr. William," Dr. Peton interjected, "I've sedated that bull 3 times in the past month just to examine him. Today he allowed me to observe him for an hour without showing a single sign of aggression. Whatever's happening here, it's real." Oliver listened quietly while eating. When William asked him directly how he had known to approach Thunder, the boy simply shrugged. "He looks sad," Oliver said. "Same as me when I first came here. Sad animals just need someone to listen to them." Over the following days, a routine developed. Each morning, Oliver would visit Thunder after breakfast, bringing fresh water and speaking softly to the bull. Thunder would approach the fence eagerly, seeming to anticipate these visits. Word of the boy and the bull spread throughout the Yorkshire dales. Farmers from as far away as Harriet came to witness the impossible. The story was discussed in pubs, from Grassington to Kettlewell, becoming local legend. But not everyone was pleased. Some older farmers viewed Oliver's ability with suspicion. "It's not natural," grumbled Harold Thwaite, a cantankerous farmer from Hebden. "Bulls are meant to be controlled with strength, not whatever witchcraft this is." William found himself defending both Oliver and Thunder more frequently. The boy had brought unexpected peace to the farm, and even the other livestock seemed calmer in his presence. The sheep followed him around their pasture. The farm cats rubbed against his legs, and even the usually skittish chickens allowed him to collect eggs without fuss. One afternoon, while Oliver was teaching Thunder to respond to simple voice commands. Mrs. Hartwell made a discovery that would change everything. While organizing Margaret Whitmore's old photograph albums, she found pictures dating back several years. In one photograph taken during a summer fair in Grassington, she spotted a young couple with a small child who looked remarkably like Oliver. Mr. William, Mrs. Hartwell called excitedly. "You need to see this." When William examined the photograph, his breath caught. The couple was indeed Oliver's parents, and they had visited Thornfield Farm years ago during one of Margaret's charity events for families from Manchester. In the background, clearly visible, was a much younger Thunder as a calf. They came to the summer fair, William remembered suddenly. Margaret always invited families who couldn't afford countryside holidays. Oliver must have been here as a very young child. The revelation explained everything. Oliver's immediate comfort with the farm, his instinctive knowledge of where things were located, and most importantly, his connection with Thunder, who would have been just a young calf during that visit. When shown the photograph, Oliver's eyes lit up with recognition. "I remember now. Thunder was little then, and I gave him apples." They weren't strangers meeting for the first time. They were old friends reconnecting after years apart. What do you think this childhood connection means for Oliver's future at the farm? And how will it change William's feelings about the boy he's reluctantly taken in? The discovery of Oliver and Thunder's shared past transformed William's understanding of everything that had happened. The boy's immediate bond with the farm, his natural ease around the animals, and especially his miraculous connection with Thunder suddenly made perfect sense. "You belonged here all along," William said softly, looking at the old photograph of Oliver as a toddler, feeding apples to baby Thunder. "You were already family before you even came to stay." For the first time since his parents' death, Oliver felt truly at home. The memories of his earlier visit to Thornfield Farm came flooding back. The warmth of Margaret's kitchen, the smell of hay in the barns, and the joy of playing with a gentle calf named Thunder. Dr. Peton began documenting Oliver's interactions with all the farm animals, not just Thunder. His findings were extraordinary. Oliver could predict when livestock were becoming ill, calm, aggressive animals, and even help traumatized creatures recover from abuse or neglect. News of the boy's abilities spread beyond Yorkshire. A journalist from the Yorkshire Post arrived, followed by reporters from BBC Leeds. The story of the orphan boy who could communicate with the dangerous bull captured hearts across England. "I never asked for this attention," William confided to Mrs. Hartwell as they watched another news van pull up their drive. "The boy needs stability, not circus performances." But with fame came opportunity. Farmers began bringing troubled animals to Thornfield Farm, seeking Oliver's help. A horse that hadn't allowed anyone to ride it after a traumatic accident became gentle under Oliver's care. A sheep dog that had stopped working after its previous owner's death regained its confidence through Oliver's patient encouragement. "The boy has a gift that could help animals throughout England," Dr. Peton observed. "But we must be careful not to exploit him." William established strict rules. Oliver would only work with animals for a few hours each day, always with adult supervision, and never with any creature that posed genuine danger. His education remained the priority with special arrangements made at Grassington Primary School to accommodate his unique situation. The income from Oliver's consultations helped secure Thornfield Farm's financial future. William invested in better facilities, improved veterinary care, and even set up a fund for Oliver's future education. One evening, as they sat by the fireplace in the farmhouse parlor, William made an important decision. "Oh, he said, looking at the boy who had been reading a book about animal behavior. "I want to ask you something important." Oliver looked up expectantly. "Would you like me to legally adopt you, to make you a proper Whitmore and ensure this is always your home?" Oliver's face broke into the biggest smile William had ever seen. "Really? You'd want me as your real son?" "You've been my real son since the day you arrived," William replied, his voice thick with emotion. "I just want to make it official." Mrs. Hartwell, who had been listening from the kitchen, wiped away happy tears. The lonely farmhouse had become a true home again. The adoption proceedings were completed within months, with the entire village of Grassington celebrating. Oliver Whitmore was now officially part of the family that owned Thornfield Farm, and Thunder had played Cupid in bringing them together, but their greatest test was yet to come. Marcus Whitfield, a renowned animal psychologist from Oxford University, arrived with concerns about Oliver's welfare. "There are questions about whether it's ethical to use a child's abilities commercially," Dr. Whitfield announced coldly. "I'm here to evaluate whether this arrangement is in the boy's best interests." William's heart sank. He had feared this day would come. Whitfield spent 3 days observing Oliver's interactions with Thunder and other animals. He interviewed everyone at the farm and even spoke with Oliver's teachers. "The boy appears healthy and well-adjusted," Dr. Whitfield admitted reluctantly, "but I'm concerned about the pressure being placed on him to perform for paying customers. Oliver is never forced to work with any animal," William protested. "He chooses which cases to take on, and we only accept animals that genuinely need help." Dr. Whitfield remained skeptical. "I'm recommending that Oliver be placed in a more conventional environment where he can receive proper psychological evaluation without his supposed gift being exploited." The word "supposed" hung in the air like a challenge. Oliver, who had been quietly listening, suddenly spoke. "You don't believe animals have feelings, do you?" Dr. Whitfield looked down at the boy with professional condescension. "Animals have instincts and learn behaviors, child. They don't have complex emotions like humans." "Thunder does," Oliver said simply. "Would you like me to show you?" What followed would be discussed in academic circles for years. Oliver led everyone to Thunder's enclosure and spoke to the bull in a firm voice. "Thunder, this man doesn't believe you understand anything. He thinks you're just a stupid animal. Show him how you feel about that." Thunder's demeanor changed instantly. The gentle bull suddenly reverted to his old aggressive behavior, but only toward Dr. Whitfield. Thunder snorted, pawed the ground, and made mock charges at the fence whenever the psychiatrist moved. Dr. Whitfield stepped back nervously as Thunder's aggression intensified. "This proves nothing. The animal is simply responding to visual cues." Really? Oliver asked innocently. He turned to Thunder and spoke softly. It's okay, Thunder. He's just scared because he doesn't understand. Be nice now. Immediately, Thunder calmed down, returning to his peaceful grazing as if nothing had happened. Do you believe? Oliver's demonstration proved his genuine connection with Thunder, or do you think there's still a scientific explanation for what Dr. Whitfield witnessed? Dr. Whitfield remained unconvinced despite what he had witnessed. I still maintain that removing the child from this environment would be in his best interest. This obsession with animals isn't healthy for a developing mind. Oliver made a decision that surprised everyone. He asked William to arrange a meeting at the farm the next morning with representatives from social services, the RSPCA, and the local education authority. I want to speak for myself, Oliver announced with a maturity that seemed far beyond his 8 years. The meeting was held in the farm's main barn, transformed into an impromptu courtroom where Oliver's future would be decided. Nearly 30 people attended, including journalists, officials, and neighboring farmers who had come to support the boy. Oliver stood before this intimidating gathering, small but determined, with Thunder visible through the barn's open doors. My name is Oliver Whitmore, he began, his young voice carrying clearly. When my parents died, I thought I would never be happy again. Felt alone and scared, and I didn't think anyone would ever love me. He paused, looking directly at Dr. Whitfield. Then I came here and I found Thunder. He was alone and scared too, just like me. We helped each other feel better. Oliver's voice grew stronger. Dr. Whitfield thinks I'm being hurt by living here, but he's wrong. This is the first place I felt safe since my parents died. Mr. William loves me. Mrs. Hardwell takes care of me. And Thunder is my best friend. He gestured toward the bull, who had moved closer to the barn as if sensing the importance of the moment. I know some people think what I do with animals is strange, but it makes me happy to help them. When a scared horse learns to trust again, or when a sick cow gets better, I feel like I'm doing something important. Dr. Whitfield interrupted. But child, don't you want normal friendships with other children? Don't you want to play games instead of spending all your time with farm animals? Oliver smiled gently. I do have friends at school and I do play games, but Thunder and the other animals are my friends, too. Why can't I have both? Mrs. Pennington, the headmistress from Grassington Primary School, stood. If I may speak on Oliver's behalf, his academic performance is exemplary, his social development is normal, and his psychological evaluations show a remarkably well-adjusted child. The only unusual thing about Oliver is his extraordinary gift with animals. Dr. Peton added his professional opinion. In 30 years of veterinary practice, I've never seen anything like Oliver's ability to communicate with and heal traumatized animals. He's helping creatures that conventional methods have failed to reach. Farmer after farmer stood to testify about animals Oliver had helped. Horses that couldn't be ridden, cows that wouldn't produce milk, dogs that had become aggressive after trauma. In every case, Oliver's patient, gentle approach had succeeded where traditional methods had failed. But the most powerful testimony came from Thunder himself. As if understanding That Oliver's future hung in the balance. The massive bull approached the barn entrance and let out a long, low call that seemed to echo with emotion. Oliver walked to the barn door and placed his hand on Thunder's nose. Through the wooden slats. "He's saying, 'He needs me,'" Oliver translated softly. "And I need him too." The room fell silent as everyone witnessed the profound bond between the boy and the bull that had once been considered too dangerous to approach. Dr. Whitfield, visibly moved, despite his professional skepticism, finally spoke. "I must admit that what I have observed here challenges many of my preconceptions about animal psychology and human-animal relationships." He paused, looking around the room at the faces of people who clearly loved and supported Oliver. "Perhaps there are forms of healing and communication that science doesn't yet fully understand." The official decision came a week later. Oliver would remain at Thornfield Farm with his adoptive father, William, continuing his education while helping animals under proper supervision and protection. Whitfield himself requested to return periodically to study Oliver's methods, hoping to learn new approaches to animal therapy. As autumn turned to winter in the Yorkshire Dales, Oliver settled into a routine that balanced normal childhood activities with his extraordinary gift. He attended school, played with friends from the village, helped with farm chores, and continued his remarkable work with troubled animals. Thunder remained his closest companion and partner. The bull that had once terrorized everyone who approached him had become a gentle giant, helping Oliver demonstrate to other animals that humans could be trusted. On quiet evenings, Oliver and William would sit by the fireplace while Mrs. Hartwell knitted in her chair, and they would talk about the future. Oliver dreamed of becoming a veterinarian, maybe even opening a special clinic for animals that other doctors couldn't help. "You know, son," William said one evening, watching Oliver sketch pictures of Thunder in his notebook, "when you first arrived here, I thought taking you in would be the biggest challenge of my life." Oliver looked up from his drawing. "And now," William smiled, his weathered face creasing with affection, "now I know it was the greatest blessing. You didn't just heal Thunder. You healed all of us." Outside, snow began to fall gently on the Yorkshire countryside, covering Thornfield Farm in a blanket of peace. In his warm stall, Thunder dozed, contentedly, secure in the knowledge that his best friend was safe and happy. Just a few yards away in the farmhouse, the lonely bull and the needy boy had found exactly what they had been searching for: a family where they belonged, a place where their bond was understood and cherished, and a future filled with the promise of helping other lost souls find their way home. Oliver's story became legend throughout England, not just as the boy who could speak to animals, but as proof that sometimes the most unlikely friendships can heal the deepest wounds and create the strongest families. Years later, visitors to Thornfield Farm would still find Oliver and Thunder together, their friendship as strong as ever, showing the world that love truly knows no boundaries. What do you think made Oliver's gift so special? Was it supernatural ability or simply a child's pure heart recognizing another wounded soul in need of healing?